Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so I'm just gonna start if you're okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
For recording reasons, I'm just gonna say my name is Megan Porter, and I do a project about whiteness, and this is like an interview with my parents. And my first question for you is, can you talk about why the flag is so important to you
Yes, because of my great great granddaddy who fought in the war,
in the
and
Confederate War?
that's the reason why I fly the flag because I honor my great great granddaddy.
Okay. Do you like? How do you feel when you look at the flag? Like, how do you feel about the flag?
Hmm. Don't know. I have respect for the flag just like I do the American flag.
Does because I know mom talked about how when you guys got the new one, the South, when the South will rise again, that she really didn't want that one. She wanted the heritage not hate, if that is correct, mom. I think that's what you
Yeah.
said.
Well,
And
yeah. I mean, but they didn't have it.
right,
That was the only one they had when I got it.
what's the difference for you? Like, what's the difference in those two flags for you guys? Like the heritage and hate versus the South will rise again.
To me, it's not really any difference. I mean, it's what the other people may think about the flag, but like I said, I fly the flag because of my granddaddy. But as far as the South's going to rise again, I don't know what a lot of people take that into, what it means. To me, it doesn't mean that you're against black people or that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it means that the South lost, but the South means that they will rise again and fight again, but they never did. To me, it doesn't mean anything about being racial or nothing. Either one of the
Okay.
flags that I fly, because if you really think about it, I don't know what it is in one of the older history books, but all your presidents had slaves.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And number two, what kind of flags were flown? American flag. Why is it that the Confederate flag is so racial against people when they need to sit back and think about the American flag? All your presidents had slaves. My granddaddy didn't have slaves. Oh, I didn't either. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's an
So
interesting point. That's an interesting point because that's a point that a lot of, marginalized communities make, that the American flag is even a symbol. What would you say if like America came out with a brand new flag? Would you fly it?
Well, if it depends on what it. Yeah, it depends on what it stands for, what it means. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff that's going around now. I understand what you're saying about the flag, because yeah, I heard some time ago they wanted to change the American flag, and I thought that's not right to me. Well, no one would ever agree to the change. But like I said, talking about the Confederate flag, they take it way out of proportion of what that flag means. I mean, to me, Megan, it's just like the Ku Klux Klans. Now they took this flag, but if you look back, also the Ku Klux Klan took the Germans, Russia's flag too. So, they're to me they are Nazis in it, into a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, they're against Nazis. They're against the black people and all that. But I've always said they do not have a right to fly this flag that I fly, because it doesn't represent what they're doing. That's my way of thinking all together. Like I said, the Ku Klux Klans I have nothing to do with, never had, never will,
Right.
and I don't agree with nothing that they do. But like I said, they fly that German flag too, which to me that's more Nazi stuff than anything. And I guess that's what they do, but I don't understand. That stands for the killing of 1 million Jews. Exactly.
Right.
But that's why they fly both of them, because, they're doing it for the Nazis, and they also using the Confederate flag as for the blacks, which I think that's wrong.
Right. I just want you both to know that I have made a declaration in this Whiteness project. I have decided that my Whiteness project won't end until your Confederate flag comes down. So I'm probably be at this for forever.
I'm sorry. I didn't until I closed my eyes.
But knowing
Mama takes it down.
yeah,
it's always gonna fly.
but knowing what you know about like what you just talked about, like the KKK taking this flag and using it as a symbol for hate. Can you understand why people don't like it?
You mean the Confederate flag?
Yeah. You know, considering that like the KKK took it over.
Well, I mean, it's to me, it's the KKK altogether. I mean, they took the Confederate flag. They don't deserve to even fly that flag because it doesn't represent a war. It might be a war to them, but they use it just like they do the Nazis against black people and Jews and all of that. To me, that's not what it's all about. Maybe the German flag is, but not the Confederate flag. Confederate flag was for the soldiers, just like it is Americans fought. You know, they fought with that flag.
Yeah.
And I just don't agree, you know, not with white people. I don't agree with either side that you should say that that the Confederate flag is racial, because it's not. Maybe it is to the ones that use it in the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Let's take white people out of the context for a minute. Let's pretend we already know why white people would fly this flag and why some white people have used this flag for other things, right? Let's think about like when a black person drives past your yard. What do they think of you guys as people because of that flag?
Everybody knows me. You know, I see them at the store, and they're the same to me as if they didn't even come by here. I've never had no problem with nobody with me flying my plane.
Right. But would somebody tell you? Do you think somebody would tell you that?
I've never had anybody say, "Hey, you need to see."
Somebody would tell you.
Yeah.
You think somebody?
Yeah,
you think somebody would tell you?
If they didn't like it, they would tell me at the store, because just about everybody knows me, black or white. They come to that store up there, but nobody never says anything about my flag. Quite a few come here that knows me, comes in the yard. They never open their mouth about my flag at that flag. Because you don't see me out there prancing around the yard.
I know.
Up and down the road, you know, now something of it like that. Well, yeah, that would cause a problem.
Yeah, and I talk about loving you guys and how I've had it where I haven't talked to you guys for a long time because of, you know, something that happens, right? And and I talk about this in my work about how, you know, how I love you, but how I don't understand, right? I guess I'm wondering if somebody, let's say that you had somebody at the store and they're black or white or whoever, and they say, you know, I really think that flag is pretty terrible and I don't think you should be flying it, which is kind of the same thing that I say to you, right? If people were to come up and say something to you, it wouldn't change it, right? You still wouldn't take it down. Is that your your position?
I would tell them, just don't look over you when you come back.
Right. So.
You know.
Right. So. Sorry.
It ain't like I got it sitting on the side of the road.
I know, but I was wondering, you know, you say that people don't say anything to you about it.
No.
But is that because they think it's like pointless to say something about it, or do you think it's because like you're in the position where you're not going to take it down anyway, even if they did say something? Because I think people, and I don't know, this is my assumption, right? I think people drive past your flag and probably have a lot of thoughts about it, but don't say anything because what's the point? When I look at that flag, I see pride in the wrong thing. That flag represented like people that fought for a way of life, right? And we've talked about this before. Like that is how they lived, right? And then that became the symbol. And there's several versions of the Confederate flag, right? And you know, it has gone through these conversions, but at the heart of it, you know, because that flag went from like the symbol of this side of the war, right? The Confederacy. And those are the people who, and I'm not saying that everybody who fought in the war owned slaves or enslaved people. My people certainly enslaved people, right? I can tell you that my people fought in the war and that my people also enslaved, right? My ancestors. So maybe for me, it takes on a little bit of a different meaning. I mean, we'd have to go through your heritage, and I'd have to check like slave schedules to make sure. But because the flag was taken and then used during rallies for like integration, like against integration, there's just so many connotations with that flag that it's like it can't just be used for the Confederacy. And for me, it cannot be used for just like your people, because I feel like by using it just for your people, you kind of are like disregarding this use by the KKK and what this symbol means for people that weren't white, right? And so like that for me, that's the struggle with the Confederate flag, and why I'm like, why do people fly this flag? Because I can understand you want to be proud, and I can understand that thing, but I can't understand like the like you've acknowledged like the KKK using this flag, but like how does your use differ from the KKK's in that there's just that connection whether you like it or not. So when people see your flag, it's just connected with that. So can you talk to me about like does that bother you that it has this connection? Does it bother you that people might see that connection when they see your flag?
No, yeah, I know. No, I mean it's just like I said about the flag. I don't feel like Ku Klux Klan has any claim of this flag. They're just taking it like they did the Nazi one. But this flag does not represent no Ku Klux Klan as far as I'm concerned. That's why it doesn't bother me. I fly it because, like I said, my great-great-granddaddy was a Confederate soldier, and that's the reason why I fly it.
Klan uses that flag as a absolute symbol of hate because they want to exterminate everyone that is other than white.
See, to me, I think a lot of the younger generation don't quite understand. When they see it, they say, "Oh God, he's a Nazi."
Yeah.
You know, he's Ku Klux Klan or something of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But have anything to do with that?
Right, I understand.
You also have to understand that in the Civil War, you had I don't know how many regiments of black men that fought for the Confederacy.
Yes, sure did. Same as they did for the Americans.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they like they had their own group, which I understand.
They were highly decorated.
Yeah, they were highly decorated, but a lot of people don't understand, that, hey, they fought in the war too. So,
and the Confederate War.
Yeah, and the Confederate. Sure did.
If you found out like your ancestors were enslavers, would that make you take your flag down?
No.
What did she say? What did you say, Mom?
His ancestors like mine were poor.
Yeah.
They couldn't hardly. It is the truth. I mean, the one I'm talking about, he owned 24 acres there, and he gave every bit of it away before he died.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I would have never thought that my ancestors were enslavers, and they are enslavers. They were enslavers, and I wonder about things like, one of them was a woman with 2 small children, and when I did the genealogy thing and I have my matches, my DNA comes up with a lot of black people in Appalachia. And so I have to wonder, was rape like
going back to Thomas Jefferson? Look at Thomas Jefferson.
Yep.
He's got a daughter by one of his slaves.
Yep. Yeah, Sally
Hemings.
Hemings.
He's got more than one, but I know of one that come up.
So I sent Mom 2 photographs, and they're 2 photos. So, we're talking a lot about the KKK and what this symbolizes, And I sent Mom 2 photographs on her phone, and I want you to look at the second one I sent of the young boys. It's a Getty image from the Flip Shulk archives, which is like it's a archive about black integration into white schools, and so to me, and I don't know if the difference between us is that like I see a lot of imagery. I look at a lot of images of like white people behaving badly. and historically behaving badly, even though that's just what the time was.
Yeah, it's just like now, you know.
but
you
like
got good people and you got bad people, so
like the images. Do you see the image where it says "We want a white school"? The one with the boys that say "We want a white school," and then you can see the Confederate flag in there. So to me, when I look at these photos, like these photographs to me are not the KKK. Like these are just people that don't want anything to do with like black people being inside of their space, right? And these are young kids. My point for the flag and like my reason like you shouldn't fly it or my reason that like I wouldn't fly it is because this happened in the 50s, 60s where white people were marching to keep black people out of things, right? And so I guess the history with the flag, as I see it, is it's not just about the Confederacy, right? It's also about like white people wanting to keep things white and not integrate, right? And so that photo...
That's because, just like I'm saying, this is because these white people here are almost like the Ku Klux Klan is what it is. Right. What it all boils down to. So that's why they are turning around flying that flag like that.
Right.
Which to me, they shouldn't be doing it, but
right.
That's what they're doing. But
so okay, so if these white people, these white boys, because they're boys, really, we're white boys, right? Yeah. They're not in Ku Klux Klan gear. They're not in anything. They've got this flag, right? And so, what is stopping people when they see your flag in your yard from thinking that you are not associated with the KKK?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
you know, like if you see this photo and you say these people are KKK, do you think that people see your flag and don't think the same thing about you? White people can be like the KKK and not wear a hood, and that's
what that's what I'm saying about these pictures you're showing now. It's like, to me, these people are involved in a cult.
Okay.
Which is almost like it's almost like a Klan, but they don't dress up like them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. But maybe these people had nothing.
They have their religions are nothing but white. They so they choose to use that flag to say, hey, we want an all-white school. To me, they always had a white school. The black people is the ones had a problem going to the white school. So I don't understand a whole lot why these ones here are doing that, but I do understand in a way too, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to hide behind that flag just because they want an all-white school.
Because many of these people may not have been in the KKK. Many of these people are very young, and I'm not saying that they're not racist and they're not part of the KKK.
See, what it is, they're being brainwashed by their families. Yeah, see, their mom and daddy grew up to be like that. So what they're doing, they're making their children do the same thing. And that's what you're seeing in that picture. I'm seeing those people are more or less like a cult.
Do you not worry that people will liken you with the KKK because you have that flag in the yard? Maybe they don't ask you about it because they're like, yeah, they're just part of this cult.
If you go all up and down this road, there's no lie, Megan. You're gonna see more Confederate flags flying in the yard than you've ever seen in your lifetime. But I don't take my flag to be just like what you just showed.
Right. Why do you think there's like been an influx of these flags? If it's not heritage, like what do you think? What do you think it is that they want to fly it?
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't agree on that either. But it's just like removing our heritage and stuff of Robert E. Lee and all of them. I don't agree with none of that. Yeah. That stuff should have stayed. Because, it's not the younger generation's history, but it's me and your mamas and a lot of older ones. And, that's why we disagree on taking that stuff down. Well, it shouldn't have been taken down.
Well, my ancestors are honored on a Confederate flag that is still standing in Nelson County, and I firmly believe that it should be taken down. Because I see that, and I'm like, oh, why would you want to honor these people? It's interesting that you brought up, like, the presidents who owned slaves, because I think white people they don't know or acknowledge that a lot of our, I mean, up until I think right before President Lincoln, or maybe even the person after President Lincoln. I'm sorry, I'm not great on names, but like they were previous slave owners that slaves were freed after, their slaves were freed after the war, right? And then they still became presidents, but they had been enslavers, right? And so the United States does have this like really terrible history of enslavement. To me, like those statues, even they just feel very remindful of slavery and enslavement of people. I would probably go one step further, with the ones of the presidents who were enslavers, start putting up little monuments beside them saying, this is how many people they enslaved.
If you take back, like I said, Jefferson and Washington, all of them,
yeah,
they had plenty of slaves. So if you really want to go by the slaves, then you really need to pick out the American flag too. Presidents of the United States, it's American flag, not the Confederate flag on their part.
Yeah, I think it's both flags, and I don't disagree with you. And that logic is a very that logic is something that a lot of people on the left share with you. I think white people have written history the way they want it seen. And
I mean, you can, if you go take down all the monuments and stuff like that, you might as well take all the history books and put them in a pile and burn them.
Well, they're changing. Like the history books are changing, and they're changing because there's.
Well, that's probably what they'll do. They'll put them in a warehouse somewhere, and that'll be all of them.
Well, they're finding out that the history books are not accurate.
Right, correct. They're not accurate.
Well, I understand that too,
right.
But
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. So what you're saying to me in conclusion is that I will never be able to get you to take this flag down.
no, ma'am.